I mean, stay with us if you can. Dr. Alan Mendoza joins us, Director of the National Security think tank, the Henry Jackson Society. So we're very quick, or at least Surrey and Duncan Smith is, but he's not the only one to sort of blame China. But to what extent can we blame China, the Chinese government, as opposed to just a number of fraudsters running counterfeiting factories?
Well, obviously, if this was a Western liberal democracy, you couldn't blame the government for the actions of individuals. But the issue with China is that, of course, the country is run by the Chinese Communist Party, which has a repressive system of control. As you know, ordinary citizens can't say certain things and they get picked up if they do. So the idea that there can be large-scale criminality going on in China of the type that we know and the government doesn't know about it in some way is very, very unlikely. And we've seen in other ways as well that China has taken a very strange view towards criminality. For example, the fentanyl crisis in the US, which has been largely driven by supply from China, has been used a lot as a political football by the Chinese Communist Party in negotiations. So, and then there's the IP theft that we know that's been happening in other forms. So it's clear that the Chinese Communist Party is no stranger to the idea of kleptocracy and at the very least tolerates it in some cases.
So what are they, and what's their objective? Just sheer mischief? Because the stamps are a big business, but it's not massive. It almost feels like it might be a warm-up to try and, forging banknotes, I suppose, is the obvious one.
Well, yes, it is. In a sense, a stamp is a form of, currency in that sense, and it is a bit like manipulating currency and trying to weaken your enemies, as it were, by introducing a sense of confusion, and distrust into their systems. So yes, I think this particularly a problem in the US. I mean, I've heard, of course, what your other guest has said about it's a small problem in the UK at the moment. But in the US, it appears to be a much bigger problem, and it tells you the Chinese are probably looking around the world at where else they might have the opportunity to cause some discord and chaos and just sow some dissent. But part of the Chinese strategy very much internationally has been to just cause distractions within our societies.
And so what do we do to stop it?
Well, the first thing is to raise it with the Chinese government. And again, the fentanyl example is fascinating because if you look at what happened over a period of time, the American and the US government took it to China. They started working together on it. The Chinese pulled back at various times, pulled forward. But the point was that by raising it, it went on the agenda to say, look, you guys are in charge of your country. You've got counterfeiters, in this case, operating factories in China. We know even where the factories are because they've answered when people have gone to the adverts, they've answered, so we know where they are. What are you going to do about it? And step one is to confront the Chinese government and say, we know what's happening. You need to crack down on it.
And what might they say other than mind your own business, you got the wrong end of the stick?
Well, it'll be very difficult for them if presented with evidence of criminality for them to then take that kind of approach. And again, the fentanyl example saw them start to arrest people and make things illegal and do that. And it was sort of half-hearted because you could see the ways around. But if you don't even raise the issue and bring it to the attention, you can't really expect them to take any action. You're going to have to hold their feet to the fire, as it were, and make sure that they do shut these places down and do put some provisions here to stop it happening again.
So you would hope this would be made at a high level, prime ministerial level?
Prime Minister or Foreign Secretary, that sort of setup. So it might be an international trade issue. Whatever it is, it has to be at that ministerial level, absolutely.